firefighters think fire is their friend.
The fire department responded. They found 2 bodies.
A way of covering up their crimes. But they're wrong.
Graham told me that these wounds are not consistent with the fire.
Fire is like any other piece of evidence.
I was hoping to find a smoking gun.
It's a voice from the dead.
I grew up in a funeral home. For me, being around dead bodies is a normal part of life. For the last 25 years, I've been the coroner of Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. I've participated in nearly 3,000 autopsies. They say everybody has a story to tell, but I say everybody has a story to tell. It's my job to listen.
At the end of a pleasant spring day, on a quiet suburban street, smoke rises in the still sky.
We got a call that there was a structure fire in Lewistown. As I approached, I could see that there was a structure in flames.
The blaze is quickly extinguished. But under the blanket of smoke, a gruesome discovery.
Hey, we got one in here. Stop moving.
The fire chief informed me that they had found one person in the living room, and they had removed his body out to the yard.
Send that.
He's gone.
The fire department went back into the house. And they found a second victim that was still in a bed in the house.
Neighbors identify the victims, 40-year-old Kevin Beam and his 38-year-old wife, Linda Arnold.
All these young firemen, they get very emotional when they see somebody had died in a fire.
Good work, guys. Why don't you take 5?
They probably thought that, hey, we didn't save this person because we didn't get the fire out fast enough.
All right, let me call this in. Okay.
Firefighters wouldn't be doing their jobs if they didn't call Dauphin County Coroner Graham Hetrick.
Hi, this is Graham. I was having dinner at home. 2 dead, huh? I was notified by the command center that there was a house fire in Lower Paxton Township. Okay. All right, I'm on my way. The house was located just off of Mountain Road. The whole area is a pretty pristine area and very low crime rate.
Graham is joined at the house by veteran crime scene analyst Ron Fernsler.
Hey, Dick, how are you?
Hey, Grandpa.
Ron, it's doing good. What have we got?
We got one Vic here and we have another inside.
When we got to the scene, the word is given to me where we have an accidental fire here with 2 victims in it.
So the firefighters dragged him out. He was already dead.
The first body I saw was Kevin's because it was out in the yard. Immediately I saw that there was trauma.
Fire didn't cause these wounds. There's bruising here, there's tearing here.
There were stab wounds in the neck, and there were slash marks on Kevin's face and body.
What are you thinking, a knife? Looks like it, but could be more than one kind of weapon. Interesting.
At this point, the accidental fire theory was fading away. We started handling it as a major crime scene.
Graham and Ron move inside the house for a closer look.
I entered through the kitchen door, and there was a reasonable amount of soot there, but there was no fire damage.
It was dark, and of course you have a burned out building, so it's tough to get a lot of good lighting in there. Well, hold up a sec, Ron.
What are you saying?
These look like starter logs. This is where Kevin's body was found, right?
Yep.
It's not as though somebody brought starter logs into the house. They used what was readily available.
And there's more about the scene that speaks to Graham.
Those who started this fire didn't know how fire works. And the one thing fire does need is oxygen, and all the windows were closed.
This looks like the work of amateurs to me.
Well, Graham, we got some evidence here, too.
Well, it's blood spatter. A lot of it.
Out of the shadows of the living room, a story of violence slowly emerges.
Look at that.
As we looked around, there was a bottle, a whiskey bottle.
Well, who needs a knife when you've got an empty booze bottle?
You're telling me.
It was broken, and there was blood on that bottle. It appeared that there was a vicious struggle within that living room area.
You said the second body was found in the bedroom?
Yeah. It's right over this way.
Linda Arnold was in her bed.
Linda suffered far more severe burns than her husband.
Those are deep third-degree burns.
Almost to the bone in some places.
You get inconsistent burn patterns, which indicates an accelerant.
Kerosene, maybe?
Maybe. The fire isn't what killed her.
It was immediately obvious to me that there was a wound to the back of the head.
Gunshot wound, left side of the skull.
Someone wanted this couple dead.
Investigators scour the home.
The gun was never found, but there was a knife block observed in the kitchen, and one knife was missing from it. Kevin had knife wounds and slashes. A missing knife from a knife block means that we may have the answer to the other murder weapon.
What are you thinking, Graham?
If the killer had a gun, why is Kevin beaten and stabbed?
Why not shoot him, too?
Right. Something's not adding up.
But one thing is becoming clear.
Greg, any sign of forced entry?
Windows and doors have been checked. Nothing.
In death, you reveal all your secrets. And part of the secrets are the very house or the place where you died. In this case, every one of the doors had very secure and multiple locks on them. There was no forced entry. The couple knew whoever entered the house. It wasn't a planned or organized scene. They improvised as they went along. It just escalated, like a fire itself.
Coroner Graham Hetrick is investigating a gruesome double murder and arson that stole the lives of Kevin Beam and Linda Arnold.
We had a combination of wounds that caused the deaths of Kevin and Linda. The fire was an afterthought, an attempt to destroy evidence.
In this quiet Harrisburg suburb, it's an impossible crime to comprehend. And for the couple's family, it's worse still.
When I got the news, I was pretty much in a state of shock. I was confused, couldn't focus. I didn't cry yet. I did that when I got home.
Everyone in the family was shocked. Just couldn't figure out what happened.
Family is one of the most important things in your life. And when family is gone, you have nothing.
The autopsy will tell Graham exactly how the couple died. But just as important is how they lived.
Every good investigation begins with a victimology. And the way you build the victimology is understand the circumstances of the victims.
What is happening?
I don't know. I didn't want to play along this morning.
Oh, let me help you.
Both Linda and Kevin were private people who were inseparable from the day they met.
I sound not good for your mom.
You're gonna be awesome. Don't worry.
Kevin and Linda had met through a classified ad in the newspaper.
This is delicious, Mom.
It is delicious. Thank you so much.
Her favorite. All of a sudden, she showed up one day with him, and I liked him. The family liked him.
Linda was a financial planner who managed the couple's rental properties. Kevin worked in electronics.
Kevin was very well liked. If Kevin was your friend, you had a good friend.
Linda was a good leader. She could be bossy with her sisters, but she cared for them. It was to take care of them.
But Linda needed taking care of too.
Hey, sweetheart.
Hey, babe.
Hi.
How you feeling?
Not so great.
Oh, no.
She had rheumatoid arthritis.
Exhausted.
Will you eat your pills?
Yes, please.
She would often be on a walker, and it got to the point where she had to have morphine for the pain.
Kevin stayed at home because he was taking care of Linda,
Okay. You're the best.
and he felt that responsibility very deeply and was very devoted to her.
And in one day, without warning, this quiet, unassuming couple is murdered.
It's one of those stories that you hear of other people and you think it never can happen to you. Well, it does.
Now it's up to Graham to try and piece together the mystery of their deaths.
The dead have secrets. My job, once Kevin and Linda enter my office, is to tell the story of how they died. And I do that by the patterns on their body, in their blood, in their cells.
White male is 40-year-old Kevin Beam. Victim shows minor burns with severe bruising and lacerations to the head and neck.
One thing that stood out when we first looked at Kevin was almost everything as far as trauma was from the neck up.
This was an extremely violent attack.
Absolutely.
Graham compares the wounds with a bottle found in the rubble.
Blunt force trauma is consistent with the whiskey bottle that was recovered at the scene while it was still intact.
But there were also gaping wounds. I believe the bottle was broken over Kevin's head. And it was also then used to stab him and gouge him.
This last set of wounds on his appears to be a knife wound, and significant.
It penetrated deeply, 4 inches deep into the neck, actually going fully almost to the back of the neck. So that's a big knife.
This is shaping up to be consistent with a large steak knife or kitchen knife.
Wasn't there a knife missing from the kitchen knife set?
There was, and there's a good bet that that was one of the murder weapons.
Graham moves in to examine Kevin's skull.
Images confluent in nature overlying right parietal, right occipital, and left occipital regions of the scalp. Fracture noted over the right temporal skull. 2 contusions, circular-shaped, right temporal lobe, left temporal lobe. Cause of death, multiple traumatic injuries. Manner of death, homicide.
The wounds and the weapons paint a horrifying picture.
There are over 89 documented wounds to Kevin, just above the chest. It tells me that the individual who's doing the attack has tremendous rage.
While Kevin had been in a battle to his death, his wife's fate is more mysterious.
With Linda's case, and you have fire involved, it's more complex.
You said you had a lot of questions for Linda?
Well, she was shot to death while her husband was beaten and stabbed.
Why the difference?
Well, that's the question. That's what we need to find out.
Investigators want to find out too, and hope those who knew the couple can shed light on this strange double murder.
So what'd you get from the neighborhood canvas, anything?
No, nothing. These guys barely left the house, much less made any enemies. Almost no one knew them outside of the family.
That makes the couple's family investigators' next stop.
We're sorry for your loss, Louis.
Thank you. Linda was my oldest.
Can you think of any enemies she might have had? Someone that would want to hurt her?
No. She was a private person. They kept to themselves.
Linda was a very smart businesswoman, and she was a stern landlord. Some of them did become angry.
She had to be tough, but it was only chasing after tenants.
Right.
No, it didn't pay.
Thank you for your time.
But in the remains of a burned home, investigators uncover a possible lead.
Investigators discovered Linda's appointment book. And in that appointment book was a time entered that somebody wanted to come to discuss to get a deposit back from an apartment that they had placed.
Take a look at this. Rick Harper. Does that ring any bells?
Rick Harper.
Yeah, look at this. He had an appointment with Linda the day she was murdered.
Rick Harper, he had a criminal history, had just gotten off parole. Not a good guy.
Wow.
Look.
He's got quite a history of assault.
Rick had a history of violence, and so he was a person of interest.
Let's go pay Rick a visit. What do you think?
Let's go.
But for Graham, the most obvious question has yet to be answered.
It was quite a struggle that Kevin had. And there were 89 wounds on his body. It's overkill. What we didn't have was a clear motive why anyone would have done such a vicious attack.
Yeah, we got one here.
In the aftermath of the bizarre murders of Kevin Beam and Linda Arnold, the couple is already speaking to Dauphin County Coroner Graham Hetrick.
The scene tells you this started out as a conflict that then grew to murder. And then the house was set on fire. The intention here was to destroy not only Linda and Kevin, but all the evidence.
Investigators already have their eyes on a suspect.
Linda, this is not cool. I need that money.
The day of the murder, Rick Harper had made an appointment with Linda to come to discuss getting a deposit back on the apartment.
I'm sorry, Rick, but you already signed a contract.
Linda had informed Rick that she was not about to get this deposit back.
I'm not going to live there.
You can just picture somebody, not a good guy, wanting to get his money back, and Linda refusing to give the money back. Good place to look.
We need to ask you some questions, Rick.
Fine, whatever.
How did you meet Linda?
I was looking for an apartment to rent. She was renting an apartment. I called, checked it out.
Rick admits he gave Linda a deposit, but then changed his mind about the apartment.
She said I couldn't have my money back.
And you didn't like that?
No, I didn't like that. She was a total bitch about it, too.
Rick has a motive, a criminal history, and he was supposed to be at the house the very day of the murders.
So what time did you go over to Linda and Kevin's house?
Dude, I didn't go over there.
Her appointment book says otherwise.
Well, her appointment book is wrong. I had work, so I couldn't go. Check it out.
And you work where?
I work at the ice cream factory, on the line. Yeah, my mom's super proud.
Investigators pay a visit to Rick's employer.
Rick had an alibi. He was at work, had a time card. The vehicle that he owned, we looked at the car forensically. Blood, bullet casings, anything that would be relevant to the crime. Nothing was found.
Detectives need to look elsewhere. And Graham still needs answers about Linda's death.
Linda Beam Arnold, 38-year-old female, suffered massive third-degree burns and blistering to the chest.
She had severe charring on her body, and there were also areas of her body that weren't as severely charred. The thermal patterns were consistent with accelerant poured over the body.
But fire isn't what killed Linda.
Her cause of death was a gunshot wound to the back of the head.
Manner of death, homicide. Why did you just lie there? Were you a captive?
Graham is counting on Linda to tell him more.
Michelle, do we have those results from the tox lab yet?
Yep, just read.
Great.
We found in her blood that she was using opioids pretty heavily, which is common for someone who was going through the arthritic pain that she was going through.
She was pretty heavily sedated. Yeah, that's not such a bad thing. She probably didn't feel very much.
The picture of Linda and Kevin's murders is becoming clear.
What I saw was a bloody and escalated fight. Kevin was trying to defend his wife and protect his household. Linda was sedated, laying on her right side. Somebody walked up behind her and shot her on the left side of the head. And then her body was set on fire with accelerant and the starter box. Due to the fact that we had multiple weapons, 2 locations, 2 people killed, I did not rule out that we might have more than one person in that house.
found that Kevin Beam had no known enemies. Linda and her business dealings, financially, could have had problems with people, but nothing really caught my focus.
Then one day, investigators get an interesting phone call.
Detective Taylor. Hey, Phyllis, how are you?
It's Linda's mother, Phyllis George.
20 minutes? Great, see you then.
And Phyllis has a very strange story to tell.
After the police got most of everything out of the house was, half of it was completely gutted. The rest had water damage, so I sent Billy over.
Billy is Billy Lightfeather, a longtime family friend and a handyman who rents a room in Phyllis's home.
Lightfeather says that he went to a knife block in the kitchen. He reaches into the knife block, he pulled out a knife that he thought he saw blood on.
He called me and said, what do I do? I said, bring it here. And I called the police.
You found a knife?
I thought it was important. And you found it where? In the kitchen. When I was cleaning things up. It looked suspicious because of the red marks on it.
Lightfeather finding the knife immediately got my attention. What are the odds that somebody's going to walk into a home, happen to pull out a knife, of all the things, thousands of things in the home?
Thanks for calling us, Phyllis.
Of course.
Detectives bring the knife to Graham.
This is strange, right? I mean, am I crazy to think this guy's a suspect?
No, it's awfully suspicious to me. I'll tell you what, we'll send this off to the lab, and I'll get the results back to you ASAP. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Great.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you, too.
How could police have missed something Billy so easily found?
I know how we went through the house that night. We looked at every inch of it, and we did not find that missing knife. It was too odd that we would have missed that. Sometimes the person who finds the evidence ends up being the killer. But now we have to prove it.
Investigating the murders of Linda Arnold and Kevin Beam, Coroner Graham Hetrick and detectives have eyes on family handyman Billy Lightfeather.
When Billy Lightfeather said he had found this knife, it seemed very odd that all the good CSI men that were there missed that knife.
While the knife is sent for testing, investigators take a hard look at Billy, a drifter with no criminal record.
Billy had an outgoing personality. And he called me Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Billy. Hot out here. I thought you could use this.
Thank you very much.
Some for Norman?
He took care of the yard and the minor maintenance in the home.
Phyllis spoke very highly of him, indicating he was a very kind, gentle person that would never hurt anyone.
Under a shroud of suspicion, Billy agrees to an interview.
So how did you happen to find a knife that all those cops couldn't find?
It's not my fault you guys missed it. I was throwing stuff out, I was going to the knives, and I found it.
Investigators question Billy about his relationship with Kevin and Linda.
I called Phyllis Mom. It made all those guys more like my family. Linda, like family.
Did you have anything to do with that murder?
No.
So where were you on the night they were murdered?
I was home.
Got anyone to back that up?
Yeah. Phyllis. She was home. She saw me.
The day of the fire, I was at dinner with my friends. When I got home that evening, Billy was there.
I'm exhausted, so I'm going to go to bed now.
See you in the morning.
Okay, good night.
Billy has an alibi, but police turn to one of his best buddies in town to double-check it.
Norman Cadmus? Yeah, Norman. Detective Taylor, this is Detective Day.
Good afternoon.
I'll ask you a few questions. Yeah, sure.
Lightfeather cabins rose together, drinking buddies, hanging out together.
Did he ever talk about the fires? Did he mention anything about what happened?
No, just that it was a real tragedy.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Cadmus, if we have any additional questions.
Okay.
Investigators hope the tests on the knife will tell them more.
The results were conclusive. The blood type on that knife was Kevin's blood type. We have a knife. The wounds are consistent with the wounds on Kevin. We also have Kevin's blood type on the knife.
There's only one problem.
We had no fingerprints, so we couldn't connect it to any single person. There was not enough physical evidence to link Billy to the crime. You certainly can't say, well, this person did the killing simply because they're suspicious.
We came up with some suspects, did not have enough to make an arrest.
Detectives had exhausted all their leads. They really didn't have anywhere to go. You feel terrible because you feel like there's something you've missed. You're not bringing justice to these two murder victims.
The absence of arrest and the case going cold was frustrating to our family. To me personally, I was wondering if it was something against my family. And I was somewhat paranoid about it, making sure my doors were locked.
Hoping to glean more clues, Graham examines the bullet wound on Linda's head.
In essence, the wound to Linda was an assassination wound.
The bullet went through the left cerebral hemisphere, across the midline, where it came to rest just beneath the right ear, with no significant deviation upward or down.
I knew we were dealing with a vicious killer. You know that someone's out there that had so little respect for human life. I was worried that the murder might not get caught.
4 years pass, and in 2000, Detective Greg Taylor is assigned to the cold cases. The Beam Arnold murders are the first to catch his eye.
Unsolved homicide, the department wanted to get it solved. 4th year anniversary of the murders was reopened.
Taylor shares the news with Linda's family, including her dad.
The reason I'm here today, Mr. Arnold, is because we've decided to reopen the case. Can you think of anybody at all that would want to harm Kevin or Linda?
I can't think of anyone.
What's all that?
It's a shrine to Linda. There's another one in the other room. You want to see it?
He walked me to a separate bedroom. I saw more pictures of small animals, kittens, burnt remnants from the murder scene.
What's this?
There's dirt and rocks from her grave.
So you keep all this on display?
Yes. I loved her a great deal.
I was suspicious. I saw too many things, too many red flags.
Several days later, Detective Taylor calls Linda's dad.
I asked him to meet me at the grave. I wanted to push him. I wanted to see his reaction standing there.
Thanks for coming today, Mr. Arnold. I really appreciate it.
It's very difficult being here.
I can imagine.
I asked some pretty direct questions. I wanted to see if he was going to break.
Did you have anything at all to do with these murders?
Oh, I love my daughter. She's the most wonderful daughter anyone could ever wish for. You have no idea what it's like.
If he would have been involved or had more direct knowledge, I would have expected a different reaction than what I got.
To lose a child is a tremendous loss. The shrine was unusual, but it certainly was not out of order to this grieving pattern.
Harrisburg sees the passing of another year, and still, no justice for Kevin and Linda. But then, on February 14th, 2001, it appears someone might be willing to break this case wide open.
This man was arrested on a drug charge, but he wanted to negotiate, and what he was willing to negotiate with was the death of Linda and Kevin.
Nearly 5 years after the vicious murders of Kevin Beam and Linda Arnold, investigators get a sudden break in the case.
The individual was arrested on a drug charge, and he wanted to negotiate. And in the process of the negotiation, he offered up what happened to Kevin and Linda.
I know what happened because I was there.
That man is Norman Cadmus, the best friend of Billy Lightfeather.
He did have a history of violence, and he did have some issues with personality disorder.
I got a story, but you gotta help me out with something.
Walk me through it. Every detail.
We talked for a couple hours.
It was chaos. He was just stabbing.
Norman Cadmus implicated Billy Lightfeather.
And Cadmus admitted to me his involvement in the murder of Kevin and Linda.
It was his idea. Billy called me and said, I need a ride. I got to go over to Linda's house. She owes me some money. So I said, okay, yeah. So I drive him over there.
Norman claims he waited in the car while Billy went into the house.
Billy went in to get his money, and he says, I'll be a minute.
Norman subsequently hears a commotion from inside the house. Norman goes into the house.
It was chaos. Kevin is going crazy. Kevin had a hammer. So I couldn't just stand there. I had to jump in and help my friend. I had to help Billy. I just started hitting Kevin like 6 or 7 times. You should have given him the money! And he was just stabbing and slashing. There's blood everywhere.
What happened next?
Then he said, Linda's in the bedroom sleeping.
Stay here.
He went out to the car and got a gun. Billy said, we gotta do her too so she doesn't talk. He went to the bedroom. Come on, man, hurry up!
Norman's confession aligns with a story Kevin and Linda told Graham all those years ago.
Linda and Kevin told us everything we needed to know, but we needed the corroboration. 2 people were in that house, and those 2 people were Billy Lightfeather and Norman Cadmus. They helped kill 2 people, and then they helped each other cover up the evidence. The motive here was to resolve a money issue. It wasn't a planned or organized scene. They improvised as they went along. The motive was money, not murder, but it turned into murder.
The confession is enough to charge Norman Cadmus with the murders of Kevin and Linda. But the question remains, will Billy fess up?
I told him what Cadmus had confessed to.
He was there, Billy, and so were you.
I hear the big coming out of him. I think he's going to tell me. I think he's going to owe up. I wasn't there. He would not go for it. Are we done?
Billy could never be placed at the crime because Billy never admitted even being there, and there was not enough physical evidence to place him there.
In 2002, Norman Cadmus pleads guilty to 2 counts of murder and arson. He receives 2 life sentences.
I was very relieved at knowing that he was caught. But I felt very disturbed that Billy had gotten away with this. I just couldn't understand or believe that a true friend of the family would do such a thing.
Time has a way of healing wounds and delivering justice.
It's the police! Open up!
And some may say, in 2004, it got served.
Billy had a heart attack. He took his secrets to the grave with him. Billy got convicted by life itself.
I miss Linda very much. I miss talking to her. It's always there.
Miss Linda?
There wasn't any part of me that felt that Billy had gotten away scot-free. I believe that he got his justice. If it wasn't with the courts of Pennsylvania, then it was with God.
There's always a great satisfaction when you finally put the lid on the box and close this story and give a family resolution. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to everybody who works on these cases.